I don't see that they're any different than mine,
Mhm.
maybe in the sense that when I grew up, there was a little more discipline in the sense of ethics and things like that, where you were taught as a young person growing up
Mhm.
that you worked for a living and you didn't get freebies and things like that.
Right. From baby boomers. So why is
To
that?
elaborate, okay. In the sense that we had our thoughts of changing the world. We had our peace marches, our things like that, and just like every generation has. So in that respect, it's not really has changed. I mean, it hasn't changed as far as expectations. You graduate, what you want to have for the country, what you want to have for your life, marriage, whatever.
Mhm.
Okay, so that hasn't changed. What has
Mhm.
changed is the speed of what's going on. Per se, dinners with your parents or dinners with your family. That's a non-existent thing anymore. That was a big thing when we were young.
Mhm.
Everything was what's the word I'm looking for?
There were expectations that had to
Yes,
be met.
yes. I think there's a better word, but expectations.
Right,
But
yeah.
if your parents said at 5 o'clock we eat, or whatever,
Mhm.
you were there. If you didn't show up, you didn't eat.
Mhm.
Okay, you were taught, and I think millennials are taught this too, disciplined. But we were taught discipline in the sense that you get up in the morning, you go to school, or you go to work, or you whatever. You do that. You don't call in and say, "I don't feel like doing it."
Mhm.
I guess we were taught disciplined and we were taught consequences. If we did something wrong, that was a big thing. I
Mhm.
don't know about the millennials as far as the consequences and what your actions are, um, but on the level of, I guess I'm looking for work ethics. This is what I've experienced and what I've had talked to me about with different people around the institution as far as jobs. Nobody wants to work. Not all. I'm not going to put that out. Not all, because there's a lot of good kids that and I think it comes from upbringing. I'm sorry, but I was taught that, and I was taught that if you went for an interview, you went 15, 20 minutes early. Did not come late ever. The same thing with work ethics. If you have a job and this is it, you go to it. That's it. You don't just say, "Well, I don't feel like today.
Mhm.
I'm not going to do it." And I've heard a lot about in my 10 years here too, but that they don't want to work. Nobody wants to work, and you have to work to achieve.
Mhm.
And work is an essential thing in life, and it gives you gratification, no matter what it is. I mean, it could be digging a ditch, it could be going to school and becoming a doctor. Whatever the work is, it's very beneficial. And without work, there's no reward. To give somebody something is not the answer. In other words, and I'm saying that because you can't get anything for nothing. You can't. There's repercussions. So work is an essential thing that is for man, woman. Very important. If you don't have work, it leads to idleness, and idleness leads to whatever you want to do. I don't feel like it today, I'll do whatever I want. And you'll see that in the crimes that are committed today, lots more than when I was a kid. Now, when I was a young man going to school, this is just one incident, and I'm not saying the millennials or anything like that, but the rise in crime has gone up a lot more than when I was a kid in schools. We had violence in schools, fist fights and things and arguments, but we never, even though we had guns, and we even took them to school on days that we were going to hunt, put them in the back of our cars, trucks, whatever, nobody ever shot anybody. And everybody carried him. I'm sorry, I'm going, why is it different today that, you know, it's more violence in the schools, more this and that, and my opinion, no discipline, without consequences, knowing consequences for your actions, you get more of that. Without God, of course, there's complete chaos in the house. That's why I go to church as much as I can, because it keeps me in tune. Because I'm human, so whatever. And I guess I'm getting off tangents, aren't I?
No, it's fine. I was gonna pick more at, I guess, you know, growing up, this notion that being disciplined and working on work is
Good.
as good as what you should do. You shouldn't lack. You shouldn't see the other way from it, because work is what you should be doing.
Yeah.
So, growing up, your childhood, what was that like when you were taught that? And did you learn any lessons the hard way?
Oh,
or?
God, yes. Oh, yes. That's what I was saying. We are much different. And any kids growing up, you still got rebellious. You still thought mom and dad were, they don't know anything. That's very much so. But we knew one thing. We knew that we were loved. We knew that if we had a problem, we really could go back to mom and dad and talk about it, at least in my family. And most of the families at that time, the mothers did not work. The fathers worked and supported. We had 5 kids in ours, and many more that had, 5, 6, whatever. Families were huge. I came from a small community, Guttenberg, about 2,500 people. I had 100 in my class, for my graduating class. That's a lot. And the neighborhoods were full of kids out playing ball, skating, whatever. We did a lot of outdoor work. Fun and work. Where was I at? I lost my train a little bit because I went and we were going for a specific.
For childhood upbringing, when you were taught about discipline, like what was discipline like, especially when preparing for work?
Okay, so for discipline, like I said, you knew that you'd become, if you did something wrong in school and you were chastised for it, for a better word, whatever, being to stay late or to do other special things or whatever, your dad is going to go, okay, you might get the belt here. Now, the belt was, everybody sort of said, hey, that's what you get when you get out of line, you get disciplined. Now, my father was an ex-Marine, and he was a tough guy, but he was very, very much a humanitarian. An individual that did not want to do that type of thing. So he'd tell you, he said, I really don't want to do these things. And one thing I said to him, I said, Dad, I said, I think that, why do I have to be spanked or not spanked, but on the bottom. And he said, because you'll learn that if you don't do things right in life, it's going to come back to haunt you. So you're getting a taste of what it's like if you misbehave, or if you do things. And, and it was never a beating, a couple hits in the butt, but it was the idea of it. I don't want to get hit in the butt. I don't want to get spanked. And you think, well, when you're 17, 18, well, my dad said jump, you jumped. You know what I mean? As far as when it come to doing something that's wrong. Because you didn't want him mad at you. I don't think any kid really wants their parents mad at them. In a sense. You look for that. No matter how bad they can be. They can be bad people, parents, but you always want to please them, in a sense. Even though you get rebellious, and everybody gets rebellious, and that's the whole thing. Always rebellion. But we have a solid foundation to fall back on. I think our generation did.
It's that traditional family.
That traditional family thing, and also the fact that you're grounded in that a solid foundation, because if you go out there, there's always a way to come back in. And no matter how far you get, and I got pretty wild as a youngster, going to college, whatever, and going out and doing the. Yes, I did. I was not, just like every other kid, But when you learn and you grow up, and you start to get more into the work or whatever in the life, fall in love, get married, whatever, you find out, you're going, oh my God, my dad was so right, my mom was so right, wow. But you have something to fall back on, because now you have a solid foundation and you can start from there again. So that's the big thing.
Yeah, I have similarities, but I mean, it's always, family by family, case by case basis.
Case by case, yes.
But I guess it's different now with having two parents, both parents working, so I'm curious what it was like to have, in that time mothers did not work.
No.
They were at home, they were stay-at-home moms.
Yes.
So what was that like as growing up in that?
I thought it was great. Because you're coming home not to an empty home, and you're coming home to somebody who's coming in, you're hungry, you want cookies, you want to pet me before. Sure. You know what I mean? Meals. My mom was a great cook. So, you look forward to that stuff. No, not at the time, but it was important. And I guess you didn't look at it as saying, this could be different. They all could be, both could be working and whatever, I guess. Because most of the kids that I grew up with, their parents didn't work. If they did work, it might be professional, like a nurse.
Okay.
Or something like that in the professional field. But other than that, they were all home. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And of course, then you say, well, how could they do? Well, because the wages at that time, when pretty much were good wages. So in other words, you could raise 5 kids, feed them, attend the parochial school. Catholic schools were more expensive, and the whole 9 years, one person could do that. That's changed. But what's really changed is the speed of things because of the internet, because of the computers and things like that. I mean, advances and things like that. Good, and yes, and bad, yes. Because it's so fast and so complicated. If you read something one day or something comes out as in a computer that's advanced, you're sitting there going, oh my God, I just bought that. And now a week later, it's advanced to something else.
Yeah.
So it's so fast. It was more laid back. I guess I could say it's more relaxing. I mean, you studied, you did your thing, and but you weren't speed. We have to have faster speed. We have to have this. We have to have that. I guess I never. It was a slower paced thing with not as much speed. I guess you'd call it.
It wasn't fast. Wasn't chaotic. It was
chaotic, exactly.
You knew
And
what the
I mean to
process
tell
was.
you, if I was your age, it would be very hard because it's so much changes so fast that you sit there and go, wow. And you want to keep up on it because you have to. Because everything that changes, especially with that type of thing, especially if you're going to school, you have to, to be able to change with that. But that's one big thing.
Yeah.
It was more laid back.